Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, a podcast all about growing your network and building your brand through traditional and digital networking techniques. I'm Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. Stay tuned for this week's episode, and thanks for listening. Hello, PR Maven Nation. Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, episode 232, presented by Marshall Communications, creator of the Marshall Plan 65-step strategic process. For those of you new to the show, I'm your host, Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. Welcome. With me today is a group of 9 Northeastern University students we've been working with over the spring 2023 semester to develop a marketing plan for the PR Maven podcast. This is the first time I've ever had so many guests. I've had 3 guests at the most, but I'm very excited to have 9 students with me. And unfortunately, one of them is out sick. So we would have had 10, but I want to welcome all of you here today. So we have had the pleasure of working with my guests today through Northeastern University's Experiential Network, XN program. The program aims to educate Northeastern students through educational curricula using real-life projects and problems that reflect experiences in the professional workplace. Since January, we have been working with this wonderful group of students and their professor, Carolyn Boviard, to develop 2 marketing plans specific to the PR Maven podcast's goals. I'd like to introduce Team Lion, including Brooke, Kaixin, Apoorva, and Eashwar, and unfortunately, Samar's not here today. And then we have Team Cheetah, including Aaksha, Anjas, Mary, Mehal, and Saurabh. So let's dive right in with Team Lion first, and then we'll get to Team Cheetah after the break. So Brooke, we're going to start with you. Tell us about your educational path so far and what got you interested in marketing and PR.
Sure. So for my educational background, I received an undergraduate degree in international business and business analytics from Drexel University, where I had many opportunities to take courses in marketing and PR. And during my undergrad, I also had an internship in human resources, where I had the opportunity to develop job ads for the company as well as other content development. And it was such a really interesting and fun and creative part of my job, and it got me interested in looking into more of a career in PR and marketing. And so therefore, I have been taking many courses regarding marketing during my graduate program in business analytics here at Northeastern, such as this course that we're taking right now in creating and sustaining customer markets and in marketing analytics. And so after my graduation at Northeastern University this summer, I'm interested in pursuing a career in marketing analytics and to kind of find a balance between the 2 passions of both marketing and business analytics. And I feel that this experience working with you and the PR Maven podcast has been great in solidifying my interest in pursuing marketing as a career and how to best utilize the data to back up our business decisions regarding marketing strategies.
Cool. Well, I talked to the group today about personal branding, which is kind of an offshoot of public relations. And that is sort of personal branding sort of resides between PR and HR, because personal branding helps an individual become more well-known, whether it's as part of a company or as a contractor or as an agency. So I'm glad that you had that experience in HR. And actually, writing job ads is a really good skill to have, especially now because so many companies are struggling to find good employees. So thank you, Brooke. Now, Kaixin, how has PR opened up a new vision for your career?
Hi, Nancy. Thank you for your question. My major is business analytics, and I think PR can offer some new opportunities for business and data analysis in several ways. Firstly, PR professionals have excellent communication and storytelling skills, and I think these skills are very beneficial for us in communicating the complex data in a clear, concise, and compelling ways. And by utilizing these skills, we can make our work more engaging and impactful. And also, as the job seeker right now, I believe that PR can be helpful in building a personal brand. For example, we can create a consistent and compelling online presence by being active on platforms such as LinkedIn and GitHub. So we can create a portfolio website to catch HR's eyes.
Oh, yeah, good. Now, what was the second thing you said after LinkedIn?
GitHub is like a website that we can post our project and code on the platform.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that one. So we'll have to share that in the show notes. Yeah, I'm not. So that's where you would display case studies of things you've been working on in school.
I think that's more related to technical coursework, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
kind of a
like
technical, where we generally practice our codings and languages, the computer codings and languages.
Oh, you're learning coding too? Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of software engineers actually use that website to kind of help tweak their code or get ideas from there. So it's a useful tool for them.
Oh, I see. I had never heard of that. So that's very interesting. So Eashwar, you're substituting for Samar today. And how do research and PR work together so well?
Thank you, Nancy, for the question. Research and public relations can work together. I think they have a symbiotic relationship where research kind of provides the foundation for PR activities, and PR helps to promote the research findings to the relevant audiences. So there are several ways in which research and PR can work together, like research can provide PR with insights. So what happens is, if we want to understand customers' preferences, behaviors, and or attitude of how they purchase certain products or commodities, so research can help us to magnify the kind of requirements which the customers need, and give to us an exact data of what kind of products or commodities should we target, and what kind of customers do we need to target. So research can help this in a lot. Also, I feel that PR can help promote all these research findings. So through press releases, media outreach, or other communication channels, I think that PR can help researchers integrate in a more better way, and also increase the visibility and impact of the research. Another thing that I think that PR can help researchers connect with audiences as well. By identifying and reaching out to relevant stakeholders, journalists, policymakers, other influence, I believe this can PR can help them to raise awareness of research and its implications as well. So one of the examples also what I had in mind was in mid 1990s, the California Milk Processor Board was struggling to increase milk consumption in the state. So they obviously turned to their PR agency to solve this challenge. And what agency did, they conducted a research to understand the target audience, and found out that most of the people didn't think milk was an essential part of their daily diet. So many people did not have milk in their homes and often ran out, leading to an urgent milk run. So based on this research, the agency developed an iconic Got Milk campaign, which created a sense of urgency around the milk, because there were celebrities promoting the brand. So that way it kind of showed it meant to be a part of a daily life for every human being. So through that, they were able to, through all this research and identifying these customers' need, and how the customer would pursue if they are targeted through celebrities. That is how I think this was a good way how research and PR, amalgamated together to give a valuable product.
That's a great example. And I remember that campaign because they always had pictures
Mustache.
of... Yeah, they had a milk mustache. Yeah, that was a very memorable campaign. But yeah, that's a good example too, because for different people, milk plays a different role. Some athletes drink milk because they think that it makes them have bigger muscles, and parents want their children to drink milk. And so, yeah, if you understand the motivation to consume the product, and that's something that your kind of analysis will help. And then the PR people or the advertising people can develop appropriate
So basically
messaging.
targeting an audience and using that research for PR, for public relations to give them a direction as to where they need to target their marketing agendas and budget. So that's how I think research and PR can go well together.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And, I think that all journalists, when you pitch them a story, if a PR person is contacting a journalist, the journalist likes to have some stats and statistics and data to help their story. They don't want just the storytelling. All the storytelling is helpful, but if they can say 67% of milk drinkers think it's good for their building muscle or whatever, that helps flesh out the story. So thank you. And I know that was supposed to be Samar's question, so I'm sure he appreciates it too. So Apoorva, how does data help drive decision-making within organizations?
So data is a critical asset that can be used within organizations to make informed decisions. By collecting and analyzing data, organizations can gain valuable insights into their operations, customers, and market trends, which can inform and guide decision making. Through the analysis of customer behavior and feedback, businesses can develop products and services that better meet customer needs and identify areas where costs can be reduced or optimized. The use of data for predictive analytics can help organizations anticipate market changes, identify potential risks, and take proactive measures to mitigate them. So to sum up, by leveraging data and analytics, companies can make decisions grounded in evidence and insights rather than relying solely on intuition or guesswork.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And spending the day with all of you today, I'm realizing more and more how powerful you will be in any organization, because you can help justify or help steer how a company spends its money. Again, spending more money on a certain kind of marketing, you might say, well, we're getting much better results from social media advertising than print advertising, or being able to analyze how the money is spent and where the return on investment is coming. Because so many companies just they have a gut feeling and they say, oh, well, this is what has always worked, but the world is changing. I mean, even just during the 3 years of the pandemic, I think marketing changed so much because people's habits were changing. People were consuming media differently during the pandemic. And you all know how to understand the data and what's going on. So I think you hold the keys to the castle. So Eashwar, we're coming back to you. How does data help with brand positioning?
Thanks, Nancy. That's again a pretty good question. I feel that data plays quite a critical role in brand positioning, as it kind of helps business understand their target audience and their preferences. So what happens is it helps them create a brand image which kind of resonates with customers. And there are also several ways with how data can help in brand positioning. First is to identify the customer needs and their pain points. So basically, by analyzing customer feedback, survey results, social media conversations, businesses kind of can have access to insights of access to customers' feedback as to what they want and what exactly are they looking for in a product. So based on this kind of data, whether it's through customer surveys or any other social media conversations, we are able to kind of locate what kind of customers are exactly what their needs are. So what happens is, at the end, data is the force that is driving the entire company as to target a specific niche of audience for one product. They can target another set of audience for another product. This kind of division is being done based on the data that we have. Also, I feel that even to monitor and measure the effectiveness of a brand's positioning, I think data is a crucial role, because by tracking metrics such as brand awareness, customer engagement, obviously sales is one of them, brand sentiment, through these kind of data, we can easily evaluate the impact of the branding efforts or the marketing efforts that we are currently putting in, and how much is the return on investment that we are getting on that. So again, I have a sort of a hypothetical example for that. Like if we are planning to open a new clothing store, and for, let's say, for women aged 18 to 30, and so what we can do is we can get the data regarding their age, gender, location, their psychographics, what their interests are, what their values are, what their attitude is, and their behavioral factors like their shopping trends, what all they have bought in the past. So once we have that data, then we can develop a marketing campaign that, if we have 10 people and if we have the data for 10 people, we can create a marketing plan for 5 people who have similar interests, for 5 people whose probably income is same, for another, if we have another 20 people, we can have 10 for who have shopped in the past couple of months. So all these divisions and targeted marketing communication can be done through data. So I believe that data plays a very, very crucial role in targeting each and every audience that there is in the market regarding in that industry.
Right, because that you gave the example of the women's clothing store. If they get their positioning totally wrong, you mentioned that the store was women 18 to 30, but if they end up being like Talbot's, which is more for women like 50 plus, nobody 18 to 30 is going to want to go there. So you mentioned the word psychographics. Can you define what is the difference between psychographics and demographics?
So psychographics, I feel, is more related to something like, it's not something like demographics is more kind of a personal information kind of thing, whether what's the age, what's their gender, and psychographics related more to their regular behavioral habits. That's kind of interests or values or attitudes, lifestyle, their regular lifestyle. So that's basically psychographics. I feel demographics is more related to a physical existence of a person, and psychographics is more the actual habits or the general, what should I say? General interest probably of.
Right. I've done a lot of work in the ski industry, and you might say, well, all skiers are the same, but under the category of skiing, there's the adventure skiers that, want to jump off cliffs. And then there's the ski racers that like to go through gates. And then there's skier cross, which is going through a course. And so you have to understand that.
If we just talk about a skier, like we need to understand like what exactly is that person looking for. Is he going for a racing kind of thing? Is he going for an adventure bit? So data helps us defining that audience.
Or maybe they're like me and they just want to ski a little bit so they can do après ski, which is when you socialize. I just ski a few runs so that I can go to après ski. So yeah, that's a good example, because I think of demographics as being just more like the hard numbers, like age, income, and other numbers, whereas psychographics is more of the personality and what motivates. So yeah. Well, good. Well, that was Team Lion, and thank you, Team Lion. Did you guys choose what animal you were going to be? I forgot. Or did Carolyn assign it?
No, we just decided the lion is the king of the jungle and we just go for it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so we're going to be back with more from Team Cheetah in just a moment. But I want to remind you that you can get a free PR Maven Things to Do pad. And I think I'm going to make sure each of you gets one of those too. If you go to prmaven.com/giveaway and submit your mailing information, we'll send you a to-do pad in the mail. And now we're going to hear from our friends at Sprague and Curtis Real Estate, and we'll be right back with more.
Sprague & Curtis is a locally owned real estate company. We're primarily focused in central Maine. I got excited about Nancy's book because she's so well known in the area for her marketing and branding techniques, and we're always looking to expand and learn and grow. And so a lot of us here at the office decided that we wanted to read her book and learn some new techniques.
It benefits Sprague and Curtis to have a large brand and audience because there can often be multiple years between transactions with clients. So it's important to network with them and stay in touch with them in those in-between periods. And this book really helped us learn some techniques and methods to continue to do that. We organized a small book group with Nancy's book with brokers in our office this winter to share information and remind ourselves how important it is to always be working on our network and continually reaching out to our customers.
Platforms like social media are important in expanding your business, but equally as important are handwritten notes, cards, letters. She inspired me to send her a note of appreciation, just thanking her for the book and her insight. In reading Nancy's book, I was excited to look to continue to grow our brand and our audience. I think she does a great job of motivating us.
Nancy's book really helped me learn a few things in marketing and branding and how important it is to stay on top of reaching out to clients periodically, staying top of mind, providing useful information, and really telling our story as a company.
Welcome back to the PR Maven Podcast, and we're talking with Brooke, Kaixin, Apoorva, Eashwar, Aaksha, Anjas, Mary, Mehal, Saurabh from Northeastern University. Unfortunately, Samar is missing, and Carolyn, the professor, has stepped out to get ready for her next class. But we've been having a great time here today. I took the trip down to spend the day on the Northeastern University campus in beautiful downtown Boston, Massachusetts, which is actually where both my parents were from. So it's kind of nice to be here. So Aaksha, how do you think technology is changing the PR industry?
Well, I think the way people approach PR these days has changed a lot over the years, specifically with personal branding. The way you network now compared to how it was before COVID or probably 5 or 6 years ago has changed a lot. I think what we used to see before is networking in person. People used to go to conferences and career fairs that used to take place on site. But now everyone has the accessibility to a virtual event. You can network with people you've never met online on platforms like LinkedIn or even social media. So I think what technology is doing right now is making it so accessible for anyone to get into the PR space, to network with companies, network with individuals they find interesting, and you can also develop your personal brand in that way. And I think companies have taken advantage of the whole advancement in technology as well, with social media becoming so popular these days. When a new product comes out, it's very common for companies to strategize their marketing strategies are in such a way that you reach out to probably an influencer, someone who has a huge following on social media. And if that's the right person that they identify to promote their product, you reach the audiences that you want to reach, your target consumers. So I think with companies taking advantage of this technology and data, like Eashwar just spoke about before the break, I think it's really interesting to see that happening. And there's so much more that we will see with technology over the years. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how companies adapt to that and how individuals adapt to the changing technology.
Yeah, I remember when I was young and getting started in PR and, the internet became a thing. And my boss at the time, Chip Carey at Sugarloaf, said, "You've really got to stay on top of the technology. You can't disregard it because it's really going to impact how we do our business." And I did feel like I made an effort, to learn about databases and databases actually help you target different customer groups. And also we had a very sophisticated database of our media contacts too. So we knew which media people were interested in what kinds of stories. So yeah, it's amazing how technology has impacted the PR world. And I love staying on top of the changes because it keeps it very interesting. There's always something new to learn. But I always say you've got to keep up with it because if you don't pay attention, you're going to get behind very quickly. And then you'll be irrelevant. And I don't want to be irrelevant ever. So, Anjas, how is PR different from what you might have learned in school or thought it was previously?
So PR and its strategy obviously has evolved over the years. I remember when I was in school, whenever the word PR came up, I always thought, oh, this is related to a big organization or an institution for crisis management and managing the reputation of the company. For example, a company has an oil spill, you got to get your PR personnel on it, manage expectations, do some crisis management, get the public sentiment on your side so they feel some empathy so your stock doesn't drive down and all that stuff. The other area of PR which comes to mind is in the government. As a kid, I loved this show by Aaron Sorkin called The West Wing, and it was about the inner workings of the White House. One of the characters was the press secretary, and so she had an important character on the show, and that's what I thought PR was. It's just spin. So it's just answering a question without actually answering the question and just moving on to the next thing. Working on this project and listening to your podcast, I've realized that PR is much more than that now. It's not on the big organization or institution level, it can be more on a personal level as well. And it's more about getting information out there and educating the public about yourself, about your product, about your small business. And it's more about figuring out your target audience and identifying their needs and informing them how you can service those needs. And obviously today with the technology we have, analytics has become a very important part of that, as you have talked earlier about it. Data-driven decisions is what drives marketing, and that's what drives PR as well. So it's definitely evolved to a personal level, and the addition of technology has made it a more effective marketing tool.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you for sharing how, this project has helped change your view of what PR is, because crisis communications is really an important aspect of PR, but yeah, there's so much that can be done with PR that many small companies don't even think about, as far as storytelling and figuring out different ways to connect with all of your targeted audiences.
Yeah, I always used to think PR is about press briefings and that's it.
Yeah.
But now I kind of get the idea that it's more on getting information out there and educating the public about what you're trying to do.
Right. And then what we talked about earlier as far as know, like, and trust, I think PR people can help either make connections or tell stories that help the public trust the company and the officials within a company more. So that's an important aspect of it also.
And I guess that's why the government or big company use it, right? Because you want the public to trust you, and that's the most important factor in running your business.
Exactly, right. And part of that is not doing spin, but telling the truth too. Yeah. I don't like it when people think that because I do PR that I'm just doing spin all the time, because
so it's an impressive skill to have,
trait.
but
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's impressive, but
to have
when you see politicians do it, you see, okay, you can see through that.
Yeah, they pivot from the question to what they really want to say. Yeah. So Mary, how did you get interested in marketing, and what experience do you have in it?
So thank you for your question, Nancy. I started taking some courses during my undergrad year, and many of them were in marketing, and I just really loved learning about the content, especially from my professors who have industry experience, where I think one of them worked at P&G, Procter & Gamble, so I always really enjoyed learning from him. And from there, after graduating my undergrad, I started working in digital marketing in Taiwan, and I did social media and outreach. And especially for social media, I learned a lot of different tools, such as the tools that I talked about in our calls, like the content calendars and stuff, which is why I recommended it to you. And then from there, it prompted me into wanting to learn more about the analytics side of marketing, which is why I'm in this program right now.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, did we talk about Hootsuite?
Yeah, we talked about
Yes.
Hootsuite.
So do you want to describe what Hootsuite does?
So Hootsuite allows you to connect many different channels such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and you can create a content calendar where you can just schedule when you want your certain content to go out, and it's all on one platform. And also you're able to view your analytics there as well. So you don't have to go into each platform and check the analytic side to it.
Right. So yeah, one of the advantages of that is you can see if certain types of posts resonate more than others. I mean, again, that's one of the things that before the internet, we didn't really have a way of monitoring, on a day-to-day basis or even hour-to-hour basis, like what messages or what kinds of posts or which platforms are resonating. And that's just such a great thing now that you can test and learn and keep improving. So I have used Hootsuite with some clients, and I do think it's a really great tool. So we haven't used it with this podcast, but we are going to start using it because of your recommendation. So thank you, Mary.
You guys.
So Mehal, starting a traditional small business, what were the PR challenges that you faced?
So to begin with that, I actually like the discussion we just had, how small businesses are changing. Like the PR terminology has changed in terms of what it stands for small businesses, how Anjas just spoke about educating and bringing out information regarding the product has become the main point for small businesses. That's one of the idea that we started the brand with. We started the brand Davish Diamonds in 2021, where we wanted to communicate or have a brand promise that we provide a good quality diamond for the fair price. And educating people about that was one of our main points. And the reason why it has become a challenge is with starting a small business, the resources are very limited. So how we spoke about data is such an important thing, and how educating people is important. But at the same time, having the resources to get these things in place is a huge challenge for a small company.
So you had a diamond company?
We do run it back in India, yeah.
You still have that company? Oh, I didn't realize that.
So me and my two sisters, we started the brand in 2021. And I decided to pursue my master's right now and then head back for it. So, yeah.
So what is your brand called?
Davish Diamonds.
Davish Diamonds? Wow. And your website?
We don't have a website, but we do have social presence on Instagram.
Okay. Well, you'll have to make sure that I connect. Follow you. You're on Instagram?
We are.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Well, Instagram is such a great platform, and obviously it's a lot more important now, I think, to many people than Facebook. I know there's a lot of older people on Facebook because that's how they connect with their grandchildren. But I know that Instagram it's so visual, and you must do a lot of reels.
Yeah, we do. Actually, that's another good point that you just spoke about, how the older generation or older demographic is present majorly on Facebook. When we were trying to position our brand, the older generation was kind of our major segment, but they were not so active on Instagram, which was another booming social media where most of the advertisements and everything plays a major role. So then to decide which segment to go for with which sort of marketing that would be more effective was another challenge that we had to face.
Right, exactly. I know. We do marketing plans for nonprofit organization and governmental organizations, and there's so many different things you can do, and there's so many places you can spend money and lose money too. So it's important to test and learn. And another thing though is you have to spend enough money when you're doing social media marketing. You have to spend enough to be able to actually learn from a sample size that's adequate. Do you want to talk about that at all? I mean, you have to, why you can't just spend $10 and make a decision based on that. In some cases, you might need to spend 1,000 or even 10,000 before you can see.
So, like how I said, the resources being limited in terms of data, you don't really know how much exactly is required to meet the numbers. So you keep on spending until you realize that maybe that wasn't effective enough. Maybe another resource or another place or platform was something that you had to probably explore, and then you make a shift to it. So with bigger companies, they do have the kind of capability to gauge where they want to put the money they have. But with smaller companies, it's more or less like trial and error to see how, if it is working out for you or if it isn't working out for you. And if it is working out, what is really working out for you? So.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's really important to pay attention. I mean, especially if you have limited dollars and you're spending money on a daily basis, you need to watch what's happening so you don't waste too much money in one place where you could be spending it more effectively somewhere else. Yeah. Well, thank you. I didn't realize that you had your own company with your two sisters.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love that. So, Saurabh, how do you think studying public relations can benefit someone pursuing a career in business?
Yeah, I think studying public relations is incredibly beneficial for those who want to pursue a career in business. As we've spoken about it today, public relations is so applicable to different parts of the business. But most importantly, it teaches us how to communicate effectively. There's different channels we can communicate with different stakeholders. Does the messaging need to change in each one of those channels of communication? Can we communicate the organization's values, the mission, what it stands for, and its offerings, so that its offerings reach the target audience and they create some sort of resonance with the brand? It helps in building relationships between brands as a whole or between people and networks that we want to build. The trust factor we spoke about comes into play here. It helps in building and maintaining those relationships with everyone involved. And also something that's incredibly important that we think about throughout our professional careers and personal lives too is thinking strategically. A degree in public relations helps in the formulation and development of plans that align with organizations' goals and objectives, and basically getting the research, the data that we spoke about before, and how that plays into that eventual strategic plan that we aspire for. It's multifaceted, and that's why studying public relations, its association with marketing and what it means to a business, but also to a person with their personal brand, and how these tenets apply, is incredibly beneficial for someone if they're deciding to pursue a degree in public relations.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think that so many small businesses, especially, think of public relations as being frivolous, like, oh, we need advertising. Advertising is like what everybody kind of goes to. But there are so many benefits to doing public relations that might deliver more of a return on. Absolutely.
And public relations is so nuanced that people don't always give it the credit for what it totally encompasses. From when someone enters your store to how they're greeted in the store to how they feel when they leave, that's part of the public relations strategic plan that you had, making sure that your customers feel welcomed when they come in, that you're trying to create a feel that they resonate with and then they want to come back for your business. I mean, that's the whole point, is to create like a non-compete business. But
right,
how do you create that? How do you resonate with someone and make sure that when they think of the next time they need to go to an ice cream parlor, you're the one they think of?
That's right.
So,
I was doing one of our Marshall plans for a startup business during the pandemic, actually, and we were well into the process. And then the owner of this small business talked to somebody who was in digital marketing, and the person in digital marketing thought that public relations was just doing press releases, but no more. And so that digital marketer said to my client, "Oh, you don't want public relations. Public relations is not going to do anything for you. You need to just do digital marketing." So the client terminated our contract just based on that she called me up and she said, "I was talking to someone I trust today who said public relations isn't worth it and we shouldn't be doing," and I was like, oh gosh. But at that point, she had made up her mind. And it was just so sad because I think we could have helped her business so much, but she didn't understand it, and that digital marketer didn't either. So, well, before we close, is there anything any of you would like to say about what we've talked about tonight?
Just that it was a wonderful experience working with you, and I think that we had a lovely time. We even connected ourselves together a lot. So I believe that thank you for giving us this opportunity, because it's the first time, I think, for the most of us that we are doing a podcast. So I'm quite sure it wouldn't have been possible without you. So thanks a lot.
Well, thank you. And I'm grateful to Northeastern University. You know, they have an outreach person up in Portland, Maine, who reached out to me to see if I knew of any projects. And that's when I thought, oh, this would be a great project for the podcast. So it has been really just very wonderful for me, and just a different kind of experience. Like I said, I've never had more than 3 guests, but tonight's podcast was a great example of how it can work having 9 guests. We would have had 10 if Samar had been here. So thank you all so much. And I just want to tell people that if they have any suggestions for guests, or they'd like to hear more from a certain topic, or they'd like to hear more from Northeastern University students, they can email me at nancy@prmaven.com. So have a great day, PR Maven Nation. Thanks for listening to this episode of the PR Maven Podcast. I invite you to share a review of the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also join the PR Maven Nation on Facebook. It's free to join, and it's a great community of like-minded individuals who are all looking to learn and grow from one another. If you use an Alexa device, use your Alexa app to search the skills and games section to find and enable the PR Maven Podcast Flash Briefing. This will give you access to exclusive content and more PR and marketing advice. Thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your week, PR Maven Nation.